Welcome to Storylab, a serialized storytelling universe. Before we get started, this episode is a teaser of what's to come. Crafting these stories brings me a lot of joy. I really enjoy doing this, but it also takes a lot of time. So I hope you'll enjoy this sneak peek into the next episode of Leti's story titled, They Know. Our last episode ended with three strange men bursting into Sahara's home with lethal force. But not before Sahara shared with me earlier that evening that Leti's mom had figured out the math behind the music of a siren song and that she was going to change the world with it before she was murdered. So, after Sahara had shoved us into the garage and screamed for Leti and I to get into her SUV, a second shot exploded through the door and caught Sahara in her left shoulder. I'll never forget that scream. There were two of them. The first was Sahara, then Leti. I pray that you never know what it sounds like when the fabric of time and space is torn violently and the stars wail out in pain from being cleaved from their anchorage in the heavens. Beautifully horrific lights of distant cataclysms fill your vacant vision as they erupt in fury, choosing in their last act of existence vengeance, a bitter vengeance, carved in the language that only celestial bodies speak, but their meaning no less understood. The blackness it leaves you with it robs you of sense and reason, breaking your mind's comprehension of what's real and what isn't. When I finally came to, I was in the back of an ambulance. Everything sounded muffled, and there was this annoying whine, like I was listening to everything underwater with this really persistent, high-pitched tone. I couldn't move my head or my arms. They felt bound. It's a weird thing to wake up in a place you don't remember you were in. I struggled against the restraints, and out of nowhere, two hands were on my shoulders and a face appeared in front of me from my right. They said something to me, but it was muffled. It didn't sound right. I tried to tell them, I can't hear you. And then that's when I noticed. I couldn't open my mouth. My jaw was clamped shut or restricted. I wanted to feel my face, figure out what was happening, why I couldn't talk, why my jaw was forced shut. I pulled against the restraints a little harder, and an excruciating pain shot through my right arm. I almost threw up with how much it hurt. The hands were back on me. The person in front of me kept saying something, but I couldn't tell them that I couldn't hear them. They turned to the left and said something to another person who was just outside of my peripheral vision. After about, 20 seconds, something from the left replaced the face above me. It was a clipboard that had some writing. Don't talk or move. Jaw may be broken. Right arm is fractured. After a moment, they pulled away the clipboard, and then a few seconds later, it reappeared in front of me. 5 minutes from hospital, hang tight. In the moments of panic, fear, anxiety, you really never know what your body will do, how you will respond. You think you'll listen, you think you'll cooperate. Sometimes you do, and, other times you don't. I just wanted to ask them about Leti and Sahara. I didn't think that trying to tell them to let me write something with my left hand, which didn't feel like it was broken, would turn into them trying to restrain me even more. I just wanted to know about Sahara and Leti. I just needed to know if they were okay. Okay, in hindsight, I could have been a little bit more calm. I should have listened, I guess. I should have listened. But once again, I barely hear these people. But the moment we arrived at the hospital, they couldn't risk me thrashing. So before I could get some answers, they put me out. I woke up a few days later in bed. I was in a hospital room. And strangely, the first thing that I noticed was that there was a name written on the board on the wall across from me. M. Osai, under the nurse on duty. My arm was in a cast, and, it also felt like my entire head was also in a cast, including my ears. But for the first time since I heard Leti and Sahara scream, I could actually hear things clearer, kind of. I heard the beep of the heart rate machine. Conversations happening in the hall. Someone had placed that thing with the red button to call nurses in my left hand. Moving my thumb, though, felt like a task, like it weighed more than the rest of my entire body. It worked in slow motion as I willed it to move and press down on the button. After I did it, it felt like the best relief ever to simply let my hand relax. Done with this chore for the day. A moment later, a nurse came in with a look of sincerity and concern that made my heart drop. She came in, though, with straight mom energy, the soft yet formidable collection of traits that immediately commanded respect and obedience. I'm Nurse Osai, but you can call me Madeline. She looked at my face for a moment and then she reconsidered. Well, we'll worry about talking later. For the time being, we can use this dry erase board to communicate. She placed a small board on my lap and checked the monitors before checking my blood pressure. She spoke as she worked. Your stats have finally stabilized, which is good. You came in with a mandibular fracture. It's not a complete break, but it's not a small crack either. You also had a simple fracture to your right forearm and ruptured both eardrums. We've given you a cast for your forearm so that you don't aggravate the injury any further. And you also had a myringeoplasty to repair your eardrums. The doctor will explain more when they stop by. She paused, allowing me to process this information. We're administering a low dose of morphine to help manage the pain and help you rest. If you need anything else, you can always use the call button. Before she walked out the room, I did what I could to grab the marker attached to the whiteboard. What actually happened was that I just pushed it ever so slightly so that it slid off my lap. But that was enough, though, for the nurse to stop and come back to help me. And well, after about 5 whole minutes, I was finally able to scribble 6 letters and a question mark. F-R-E-N-D-S. She thought about it for a second before answering. I don't know who your friends are, and I can't disclose information about other patients. I tried to say please, I tried to say please while my jaw is just like in this contraption, and it sounded like gargled air in the back of my mouth. I can't help you, she replied. But then she pursed her lips in thought. However, I can let the young woman who came in the same night you arrived, claiming to be your sister, know that you're awake. I smiled and nodded, which I'm sure I actually really didn't do either since I couldn't move my head or feel my face. But Nurse Osai understood. All right, so that is it for our little sneak peek, our little teaser into episode 5 of Leti's story titled They Know. If you're new here, super happy to have you. Feel free to like, subscribe, and enable notifications on the show if you're watching/listening to this on YouTube, or follow the show on the podcast app of your choice if you're listening. Until then, though, take care.